for MUS 7700 Psychology of Music Learning, presenting my online research proposal for Bow Hero. And we will be exploring the impact of gamified practice on sight reading in middle school string students. The purpose of this study is to investigate whether gamified practice methods can improve sight reading skills in middle school string students from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds. In this presentation, we will be exploring previous literature, addressing gaps in existing literature. I will give you my hypothesis and experimental design, and we will discuss the significance of this project. So to start off, what is sight reading? Mozart once said, "To play the piece so as to make believe that it had been composed by the one who plays it." And that rings true to what sight reading is at its core. According to Oxford's Handbook on Music Psychology, sight reading is defined as the vocal or instrumental execution of longer stretches of non- or under-rehearsed music at an acceptable pace with adequate expression. You could also say that it's playing by sight or prima vista. Sight reading successfully always involves an interplay of cognitive and motor processes, which includes but is not limited to beginning with visual processing of the music, with successful sight readers perceiving larger units or chunks of music. Studies using eye movement tracking confirm that stronger sight readers direct attention to multiple areas of the score and maximize information acquired with each look, characterized by shorter gaze fixations. In Goolsby's 1994 frequently cited study using eye movement tracking, he confirmed the benefit of directing attention to multiple areas of the music score and making an effort to maximize the information acquired with each look at the score, rather than fixating on specific spots or single notes for too long. In a similar study that's more up to date, there were very consistent results to his findings. In both studies, identifying musical notation in chunks benefited sight reading proficiency. Additionally, the ability to decode rhythm patterns is a significant cognitive component of sight reading. Research shows that rhythm reading is often the predominant challenge in overall sight reading ability, outweighing pitch and reading problems. In this study by McPherson in 1994, he found that between 59% and 64% of all errors were made by the high school instrumentalists in the performance scale were rhythmic errors. They do say that the correct pitch played at the wrong time is a wrong note. So, what is the correlation between sight reading skills and performance? According to McPherson again, in the early stages of learning an instrument, there is not a significant correlation between sight reading skills and the ability to perform a repertoire of rehearsed music. For more advanced instrumentalists, the correlation was significant and much stronger. In this study, they suggested that while sight reading might be a distinct skill in the early stages of instrumental learning, it becomes a more integral component of overall musicianship as performers become more advanced. Therefore, the relationship between sight reading skill and performance ability is not static, but appears to evolve with the musician's development. There are some gaps within the research about sight reading. They include, but are not limited to, there is a well-known absence of a clear and established theory for music sight reading. Secondly, there's a lack of research-based guidance on effective forms of support for learning how to sight read. More studies are needed to identify and evaluate different instructional techniques and pedagogical approaches that can effectively promote sight reading skill development across various instruments and levels of experience. Additionally, more research is required to understand the nature of psychomotor speed in sight reading. Lastly, future research should aim to use larger and more diverse samples of participants. So my hypothesis is students in the technology-based gamification and gamified sheet music groups will show greater improvement in sight reading accuracy and rhythmic precision compared to those in the traditional practice group. My research questions include: how does the use of technology-based gamification impact the sight reading accuracy of middle school string students compared to traditional practice methods? What effect does gamified sheet music have on rhythmic precision of middle school string students and compare it to non-gamified practice? And how do students in each practice group perceive their engagement, motivation, and enjoyment during the study? So let's hop to it. Bow Hero. This study is going to investigate whether gamified practice methods can improve sight reading skills and rhythmic accuracy in middle school string students from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, including both Title I and non-Title I schools. My survey group, I intend to use middle school string students from diverse schools, totaling 100 students, equally from Title I and non-Title I institutions. They will be split into 3 research groups, the first being a technology-based gamification group. Those students will use a virtual reality or web-based platform designed for musical skill building. The second group will use gamified sheet music. These students will engage in traditional sheet music exercises with gamified elements like points, levels, and challenges. Lastly, there will be a traditional practice group, and these students will follow standard sight reading practice techniques without gamification elements. All students will take a pre-test, a midway assessment, and a post-test using Sight Reading Factory, an online platform that generates customizable sight reading exercises. Parameters such as key, tempo, and rhythmic complexity will be controlled for consistency across assessments. Using Sight Reading Factory will ensure uniformity by providing structured and adjustable sight reading exercises tailored to each group's level of progress. Our timeline lasts about 9 weeks, starting with the pre-test assessment using Sight Reading Factory. In the 2 to 3 weeks that follow this pre-test, there will be an intervention period where students will follow their designated practice method. Midway through, about week 5, they would have a midway assessment using Sight Reading Factory again. In the 2 to 3 weeks that follow, they will continue their intervention period. And then in week 9, they will have their post-test assessment using Sight Reading Factory and a reflection on the process. So we have to collect all the data, and what does that look like? The pre, midway, and post-test scores will be measured for rhythmic accuracy, note accuracy, and overall fluency. We will also observe student engagement, effort, and attitudes. Lastly, we will gather qualitative insights on student motivation and perceived learning goals through the use of student surveys. This work is important to music educators and aims to explore how innovative practice techniques may help address learning gaps in diverse student populations, especially within Title I schools, and improve student engagement in instrumental music education. By incorporating Sight Reading Factory as a consistent assessment tool throughout the experiment, this study ensures standardized testing conditions that measure sight reading development across all groups. Here are my references for this assignment. And thank you so much for your time and attention. Have a good evening.